Hey, what is going on, Xbox and PC fans? It is Josh back once again, bringing you guys the finale today of my 6-part series, platform upgrading and performance and benchmarking numbers, moving from an AM3 8350 AMD chip to the new hotness, the Intel 6700K on socket 1151. Both of these chips will be clocked at the same clock speed, 4.6 GHz, for the comparison and benchmarking results. Let's get into it. First up, we have 3D Mark's Firestrike. You can see in this comparison that the graphics score really isn't impacted all that much. Obviously, it is a GPU tasking stress test within the application of 3D Mark's Firestrike, so not affected too much at all. But where the Intel chip really shows its true colors and its superior performance is going to be in the floating point calculations, rendering physics-based objects on the CPU, and it absolutely cleans up in physics score, frames per second, and you can see that again here clearly in Cinebench, another very CPU intensive, almost exclusively benchmarking tool. You can see that the Intel chip, even at the same clock speed, pulls ahead of the AMD chip, obviously in single-threaded performance, but as well also in multi-threaded performance, which the AMD typically holds its own fairly well, even against modern Intel processors, but outed here once again by the superior and more expensive Intel chip in both OpenGL and CPU benchmarks. This really is a comparison of the two platforms in terms of the memory. This is actually something that I use to boost performance of my SSD in Windows 10 called Samsung Magician Rapid Mode. Basically, it's a RAM disk, and you can see by this comparison that the superior speed of DDR4 in terms of bandwidth really helps out in terms of reads and writes using that RAM disk mode. So great for me in terms of performance and day-to-day computing. And speaking of day-to-day computing, I was trying to get, a pretty good boost. I was hoping I'd get a pretty good boost anyway, as far as uncompressing and decompressing files. Using Windows 10 standard unzip, I didn't see really any performance gain whatsoever, nor did I see any in 7-zip. So the the old AMD there with the 8 actual integer cores holds its own very well in terms of getting files uncompressed. But that is, of course, just one test. Now, an area I really am concerned about here is gaming. As you guys can see, it is kind of a mixed bag. Admittedly, I am somewhat GPU bound, or GPU bound period. In some of these tests, with everything set to max, can be very stressful on the GPU. But where the GPU does have some breathing room, you can see the Intel chip pulling ahead with just sheer computing power and being available to the GPU to render those extra frames. So really awesome rig. AMD still very viable, but definitely an upgrade. And there is your comparison and benchmarks, guys. Hope you guys are having a phenomenal week. Prepare yourselves for the absolute onslaught of E3 hardware information, games information, all kinds of announcements here in the next few days coming at you. So I got this new rig up and running. Gonna put it to some good use for you guys. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.